make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this off, surfers. Happy Monday morning. It is October 6th. And boy, do we have a pep in our step today, folks. ETH ETF, the first staking for the first ETF has been approved by the SEC. What a monumentous moment for crypto. So we will dig into that story, what it means for, of course, your ETH bags, your altcoin bags. What does it mean for the other ETFs, whether their stakings will be approved, and what does it mean for overall institutional adoption. There's also, by the way, a Solana staking got approved too, so that news flew under the radar a bit. By the way, guys, I don't know if you saw, but Bitcoin hit 125K over the weekend. I guess that kind of maybe didn't register for you guys, or because I'm still seeing a lot of bears out there like bitching and moaning. But we are anything but bearish here at Crypto Paradise. Very happy to see Bitcoin having hit 25K, consolidating a little bit, I think around 124. But man, this bull run has a lot of legs left to go. So yeah, Nick, first of all, how was your weekend, and where were you when Bitcoin hit 125,000?
Pretty good. I don't know, probably watching football. This is the first week I actually lost on football bets. Some bad beats. The Cardinals, a guy dropped the football as he's running into the end zone, and they lost that game because then it went out the back of the end zone. So the other team got points for that as well, and the ball. Unbelievable. We had the Bills couldn't, hold on to a ball. Somebody was vaselining up those balls. They had like 4 or 5 fumbles and turnovers. They didn't want to win. They lost by like a point or something. So bad beats on that, but at least the charts were green. And let's look at the charts. Bitcoin still sitting up here holding the gains. And what's interesting about this Monday rally and weekend rally is this is the first time Michael Saylor didn't buy Bitcoin. Remember, we keep saying every time Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin, we get the weekend pump, but then on Monday they dump it. Well, this weekend, Michael Saylor said no new orange dots, meaning he's not buying Bitcoin, but it's always a good time to buy something along those lines. They didn't buy, market's pumped, and now we're here on Monday, and we're still not seeing the dump. So the Michael Saylor curse could be over. Now, there is even bullish counts for Elliott Wave theory that says, hey, we broke 2 minor new all-time highs. We're creating a triangle here, which means this was a big triangle breakout to the upside. You could have a retest back to like 119, 120, kind of scare people into saying, oh, see, the top is in, and then you rip and roar towards 150K and beyond for the remainder of the year. Obviously, we've already talked about why we're bullish. Bitcoin, 244,000 by the end of the year is my prediction. Michael Saylor said 350,000. And Crypto Amaru is saying 170,000 is possible based on historical data we've seen for Q4. Nonetheless, no matter who you're listening to, we've been saying higher, and so far we have been spot on with the Bitcoin chart.
Hopefully, the loyal listeners here at Crypto Paradise did not panic sell their bags when Binance and Wintermute were manipulating the price down. Well, that was only 2 weeks ago, right? It's funny how things can change so quick here in the crypto space. But yeah, this is not a surprise at all. We told you that when gold goes on a run like it's gone on, Bitcoin eventually follows. Eventually parity is reached in terms of the gold performance and the Bitcoin performance. Eventually the Bitcoin does catch up. And it's just starting to, I think, make that move now, because there is a delay. Mind you, there is a delay. But gold, even today, gold up again. I mean, it just doesn't want to slow down. Maybe it's the government shutdown playing a role. Maybe it's the fact that the Fed is going to be cutting rates soon. Maybe it is just we know that the dollar's, a shit coin, or perhaps all of the above. So gold's going on a run. Bitcoin's coming next. And I don't know, 170 now feels a little bit like a under a target there. For I'm bumping mine up to 200. Bump it up to 200 by the year. Can I do that? Can we do that here on the channel?
That's a good example of how quickly morale momentum can shift. And let me get this straight on the news feed and in IRL, not everybody is ripping and happy and roaring because why? You have a lot of altcoin exposure. Not all altcoins have really done too much. Yes, they're up a little bit. Zen's back up 20% off the low. You got ZEC up 30%. Doge is going a little bit, but they're not doing all that much. It's really just been a Bitcoin, Ethereum show and a gold show. So not everybody is euphoric here or super excited. But for those who've been in the market cycle after cycle, you understand that you need to see some Bitcoin and Ethereum strength for the trenches to turn green as well. So obviously we have a lot of holdings that are slightly up or break even or even down that we need the trenches to do better. We need Pulse Chain to do better. We need BNB to keep doing its thing for them to rip and rally. But we get it because we've been here that without them doing good, whether you have a big bag of them or you have no bag of them, the rest of the market can't do good. So we are cheering for everybody to win. We understand how the money eventually trickles down into other assets, and that's what we're here for. And that's how we're excited. I wish I owned more Bitcoin. I wish I owned more ETH, more BNB in my portfolio. I've been super early on those. I've got into other altcoins. I've bought IRL stuff, paid, whatever. But you have to understand that you need those to do well in order for the rest of the crypto market to succeed. So that's why we're cheering. Whether you have 5% allocation or 50% allocation of those large caps, you need them to do good for the rest of your 95% of your portfolio to do well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unless you're short Bitcoin or short Ethereum doing leverage, you should be rooting for up for these majors because that's what leads to then altcoin outperformance later down the line. We just had an interesting conversation actually in the surf community. Someone had shared, I think Martin shared the cycle, sort of infographic, the 5 cycles, Bitcoin season, ETH, large caps, mid caps, like alt season, right? And it's interesting because, you can kind of look at it a few different ways. But the more I think about it, the more I'm led to believe that we're not really even in large cap season, let alone altcoins. I mean, forget that. We know we're not in alt season. But we're not even in large caps. So that means we're either Bitcoin or Ethereum or maybe a hybrid of the two. And it kind of feels like perhaps a hybrid of the two. They're kind of ping-ponging back and forth, as I like to say. But I think it would be let's just say surprising to many to discover and look back that we were just still in phase 1. We were still in Bitcoin phase. In October 2025.
Yeah, it really could be in phase overlap. Like, yes, Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin, but still, you're not talking about major outperformance here and people talking about the flipping. The Bitcoin dominance has been sitting around 58 to 60% for a while now. Yes, it's in our favor, but it isn't full-blown phase 2. A lot of people are saying, hey, we're already here in phase 3 or even phase overlap. I think you're way too far ahead of the curve, and if we're right that you extended in 2026, that means you're probably up here. You're in this phase overlap, or you're in phase 2. Because yes, BNB is at a new all-time high, but Solana isn't. Ethereum isn't talking about the flipping of Bitcoin right now. Ethereum's not going to start talking about the flipping of Bitcoin until Bitcoin's like, say, 125K to 150K, and ETH is surging above 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, and people are like, okay, I need to sell all my Bitcoin for ETH. That just isn't happening right now, and that's why I think you're still somewhere in one of these greens versus everybody else is talking about, hey, we're in the orange or reds. There is just not euphoria. Retail isn't winning. New retail isn't coming to the market. I mean, even us, OGs who are in the space, we have plenty of mid caps, small caps, and micro caps that aren't, ripping and roaring. It's like, yeah, okay, fuck 9 to 5, we're up a 5x, which is okay. But, true alt season, that thing would be up 10, 20x, and we'd be talking about taking profits on that and moving to the next thing, and we're just not there.
No, we're not there yet, and it just sort of goes to our overall theory and thesis that this cycle is just elongated. In many ways, right? It's just every phase is taking much longer than it had in the past, right? And that would then lend credence to our other theory that this entire cycle is going to end up being extended out into 2026, right? Whereas, historically you might look to see end of 2025 as the blow off top. I just don't see it. I mean, I don't see us moving through all of these phases and getting a blow off top euphoric phase before the end of the year. Just things haven't been going that fast this cycle, and so I don't know. I'm kind of going with the punches, man. I'm diversified, as we say it's important to be. We remind you guys regularly to try to be diversified if you can. If you have the capital for it, have some Bitcoin exposure, have some ETH exposure, have some large cap exposure. So that way, when these moments happen of, oh God, market's running, but I'm not in the money, you feel like, okay, well, at least I do have some Bitcoin, do have some ETH, etc. So we're in a good spot regardless. I hope people recognize that. But yeah, if you're waiting for alt-season, you may have a little bit more time to wait here.
Yeah, we're still trying to find some opportunities. Obviously, we're trying to get in the trenches this weekend. I kind of got in the trenches and picked up a BNB meme coin called Paulu, and I'm about break even on it. I bought it around 7-8 million. It went to 15 million. It's back down to 7-8 million. Just trying to find some edge, trying to find some things. But there isn't just like, with crypto, when you get on a hot streak, you just keep finding the alpha, keep finding the alpha. Right now, you're still in that weird purgatory moment where it's like Bitcoin and ETH. We've been killing it with our crypto stock plays, Coinbase, BMNR, SBT, and, everything else is just like hit or miss. I mean, you have Aster, that thing, it keeps go up. Everybody's moon on the moon about it, and then it goes below $2 again. Nobody talks about it. And then today it got listed on Binance. It went up to 220. Everybody's on the moon, and now it's back down to $2, and now people are getting quiet again. So it's just, you're in this purgatory moment. You need conviction. You need passive income. There isn't euphoria on the timelines. I even had a buddy hit me up today. He's like, oh, my God. I'm still down on this, that, this, or the other. Oh my, it's like, yeah, dude, that sucks. I own a lot of those same assets. I'm down on them as well. I wish they were all going to the moon. I wish you're making money so I didn't have to hear from a friend that you're still not feeling euphoric right now. But hey, your Bitcoin's up, your BNB's up, your ETH's up, your Floki's up. It is what it is in investing. You got to look at both sides of your portfolio. Do you still have conviction in the things you're down on? If not, rotate out and get into something else. You can't just like dwell on it. It's not fun for anybody. I'm losing money too if you're in the same assets as me. So, we're here for the ride. We're here for the journey. It's nice to see large caps moving, and I can't wait to the part of the cycle where we get on a couple other big winners. And maybe that's some pre-sales with quants. We're already winning big every month with Frontier Fund. The Surf token's doing its thing, but Pulse Chain's dragging down a lot of those assets. It's like, yes, we're still up 20x on PTGC, but we were up 50x. It'd be nice if Pulse Chain would break out and follow and send our things mooning, But it's all in time. Have your conviction play. Have your due diligence. Keep stacking the passive income. And you just got to, be a glass half full guy, not a glass half empty guy when it comes to investments, because things can, switch up so quickly in the markets.
I'm trying to think back throughout my history of investing. I've been an investor in various assets, even prior to crypto, for probably 15 years, right? I don't think there's ever been a moment in those 15 years where all of my investments were doing well at one exact same time. That just doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Now, I get it's upsetting if majority of your portfolio is down and going down. I get that. But normally, if you're diversified enough, you will find some outperformance somewhere. And so I just feel like you can't look and get too overly concerned about one or two assets. Now, obviously, look, if those assets, leadership's gone, they've shit the bed, community's gone, whatever. I'm not talking about that. Cut those out of your portfolio. But if they're still active and just happen to be down because for whatever reason the cycle's not there yet, not supporting that kind of asset, look at the other parts of your portfolio and say, okay, holistically, I'm not in a terrible place, and it's not reasonable for me to expect that every single one of my assets are going to be running at the same time. That only happens at the height of a euphoric bull run, which we're not there yet. So just be patient, guys. Investing is a long-term journey. It's not easy. You got to stay convicted, stay locked in, and have that long-term time horizon, and things tend to work out. I know it's worked out for Meek Chapo in the past. That's why he keeps tuning in and turning up here for these live streams. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, look, we were a little late today too, by the way, Moonmutt. So don't worry about that. That's on me. And Martin, hello. Thank you for sharing the chart there, Martin, showing the various phases. But why don't we turn to the lead story for the day, which is the Ethereum, first of many, I would say, Ethereum ETFs have been approved for staking. The Grayscale one was approved. And I just want to remind you guys of a couple things. One, we predicted this was going to happen in October because the deadline, the SEC's deadline, was sometime, I think it was actually at the end of October. So they did a little prematurely, which is great to see. Secondly, we said it was going to happen. We said it was a foregone conclusion. It did happen. The thing I didn't predict, though, it was going to happen during a government shutdown.
Right, that's odd.
That's kind of crazy. I guess the folks at the SEC, they just love crypto so much, they decided to work from home today. We're going to give us our stamp of approval. My guess is it actually got approved like a week ago or whatever, and then finally got announced. Or maybe they are just working even though they're, quote, shut down. I don't really know the details. But either way, great sign across the board. The BlackRock one's coming next. The other ones will come. A Solana staking got approved too. Solana ETF staking got approved. The Grayscale one. So just super positive across the board. And last I checked, Ethereum is now above $4,600 today. So running on the news of all this.
Yeah, we'll share this news and we'll get to the chart here as well. Here it is. The Grayscale received approval from the SEC to allow staking in its ETH ETPs, exchange-traded products, exchange-traded funds, pretty much one and the same as far as what they do. Now, what's interesting here is Grayscale gets the first mover advantage here. So will there be funds, AUM, flowing into Grayscale's assets trying to get this yield? Or will people see the writing on the wall, have patience, stay in the BlackRock Ethereum spot ETF, understanding that they probably get approval by the end of October. So you're only going to miss out on a couple weeks of that 3 to 5% APR. So we'll see if there's some rotation, some activity. Nonetheless, SEC approving this for an ETP means it's going to come for BlackRock's ETFs, and then it will trickle down into all the other ETFs. This is what we said was going to be happening, and why. What could be the jet fuel for Ethereum to break above $5,000 and go on that moon mission? We did say that when Bitcoin gets to 244,000, if Ethereum follows historical trends, Ethereum could be $22,024. Yes, that's specific, and yes, that is the math. Well, that would be a massive win for Ethereum. What is that? I don't even know. A 5 or 6x from here. That would be pretty cool. Not to also, not in considering any passive income if you're staking, or what price could do if there's actually hyper deflation. Since all these people are locking it up, having strong hands, and people start using the chain. Remember, Ethereum can burn itself. Bitcoin cannot. So we'll see how this thing progresses. But we want to see Ethereum finally get above $5,000 for our altcoins to run. It's trying to do just that. Up to $4,639. Just a couple $100 away from its previous all-time high this cycle. And just about $300 or $400 away from that $5,000 mark, which is what me and Crypto Amaru have been saying is the real all-time high. And we have not seen that since 2021.
Let's go. Let's go, ETH. You're going to hit 5,000. Just a matter of time. Stay patient, guys. This ETF approval for the staking is massive news. It just means that Wall Street is going to be investing more heavily into this asset. The fact you can now earn the upside, or have that upside potential, I should say, while also earning approximately 3% annual returns paid out in ETH, which also then has more upside. I mean, that is very, very attractive to institutional players, right? These dividend-paying stocks are extremely popular among institutions and among retail. People like their passive income. Who doesn't? So this is a very, very big news story, and I think the BlackRock one is going to follow suit pretty quickly hereafter. And then there's probably 7 or 8 or 9 others that will also be approved in short order. So all of them are going to have the staking feature, and not only is it bullish for the ETFs, it's bullish for the underlying asset. Like you said, now strong hands. I think if you're staking, right, if you think about it from a retail or even institutional standpoint, if you've opted to now stake your Ethereum and price goes down and maybe you would otherwise panic sell or, I want to rotate out, perhaps you have a little bit stronger hands. I know that's how I view things. If I'm staking, I'm kind of like, I'm locked in, I'm committed. I'm not going to jeet this out at the sign of weakness. I'm going to hold through the shit. And so maybe that sort of improves price performance too for Ethereum. But yeah, $5,000 ETH coming here very shortly, folks.
What's interesting too is, everybody who's down on their alt bags or, wonder why excitement isn't here. Ethereum hasn't gone to a new all-time high in 4 years. If you invested in Ethereum at the top in 2021, you are still down on your Ethereum investment. Ethereum is the #2 largest crypto in the entire world, has billions of dollars of institutions pouring into it, and you could have been early, invested in ETH 4 years ago, and still been down today. So yes, altcoins aren't doing well. Some are your break even on, or some you're slightly up on, or some you're down on, and you think you might just need to be dusting it. You could have been in the second largest crypto 4 years ago and still been down on your money. So put that in perspective on where you are this cycle. And yes, it is not fun, but we need to see Ethereum at least go to a new all-time high. For the past 4 years, it hasn't. Go to new all-time high, get some conviction, momentum, morale, have this bull market be explosive in this Q4, Hopefully we extend into 2026 and we keep finding some opportunities to get quick flips, quick 2x's, 5x's, 10x's, 100x's, and get those portfolios looking juicy once again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game, right? Like finding those opportunities for massive gains. That's why we're all here, obviously. I mean, I do enjoy my, Bitcoin portfolio and ETH portfolio kind of slowly grinding up, but it's certainly not nearly as exciting as, the 5, 10x hunting in the trenches, etc. But just the plays haven't really been there. The opportunities haven't been there. And the ones that have run, it's just been very short-lived, pump and dumps. They don't really sustain anything. And so unless you're in super duper early, right? Like we've had some success with, say, like a YakDAO launch, relaunched on Pulse Chain at a $16,000 market cap. If you happen to get in very, very early, and then it ran to 400, then it was like down to 70, and then it ran up to 150, now it's back down to 80. I mean, there's been some good volatility, you could say. So unless you're in very early, I mean, it's just tough to find outperformance. But it's going to happen, guys. It is going to all happen. I think we're still in Bitcoin phase, Bitcoin or Ethereum phase. So we just haven't had that opportunity where alts have been, have had a place to run.
Yeah, Crypto there says smash the like and subscribe if you want to pull that up. And then Martin says when I talk loud, it gets a double sound. I think it's your mic's picking up your speakers.
Probably, yeah. Let me fix that. Thank you, Martin. And yes, indeed. Thank you, Crypto Jack. Smash that like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I will say, let's look at some other charts here of assets that we've been talking about because they keep looking good. We've been talking about Doge looking like it wants to go higher. It is rallied from about 21 cents up to 26 cents. Looks like it really wants to kind of rally out of this level here. Or down, I think you still have that feedback there a little bit, Crypto Armor, not sure. The downside risk is this uptrend line here, which is still around 20 to 21 cents. So we shall see. Now we want Doge to break out because that leads other assets higher. It leads meme coins higher. The vibes get better. Floki goes higher. Floki did drop a 0, rallied strongly off the uptrend line with the news that it has now a European Floki ETP. Yes, you can invest in Floki, institutional grade investment in Europe. That's pretty crazy to see. They also got a listing on Robinhood, so still staying very active. And we'll see how this one wants to play out. It doesn't take much for Floki to rip and roar back to all-time highs up here where we were selling the asset. It needs to drop another 0. That would be massive gains for you guys. Obviously, you know that we have a Floki bag. We have it staked on their main website, earning APR on that. Let's see what happens. Look, Doge looks good. CZ's been shilling Binance Chain and BNB. If Binance had any incentive to shill a large cap, it would be Floki. Why? Because Floki's been active. Floki has large liquidity on BSC. It's on all of the major centralized exchanges. So if they want to, poach some users to Binance Smart Chain, Floki is on Coinbase. Floki's on Kraken. Floki's on MEXC. That's how they can get more people into a large cap and onboarded onto the BSC network. So let's see if that comes to reality. Nonetheless, without that, the chart looks a lot like Doge. If Doge runs, Floki will chase, and Floki will outperform.
Yeah, speaking of BNB and CZ, it feels like that may be an opportunity, like memes on BNB chain. Maybe that opportunity, probably is that opportunity right now for some outperformance if you are looking to take risks, if you are looking to, quote, gamble on some memes. It feels like that is where the outperformance is. I read recently, I think over the weekend, that there was a meme coin that CZ, I guess, shilled or inadvertently shilled. I think it was called 4.
Yeah, that one ran.
Symbol or whatever, right? And some guy, he invested, whatever, thousands of dollars, and then it's like worth like millions because CZ like pumped it. So that's kind of, you see those stories, right? You start to see those stories pop up on the feed and various news sources. That is kind of what I guess spurs on some retail FOMO as well. So that's good sign, I would say. I don't think we're in an alt season where that's happening to all the coins. All the memes listed on BNB certainly are probably not doing nearly that well. But you have a handful of ones that outperform. I guess Nick was hunting in the trenches this weekend. So BNB season perhaps coming. We'll have to see and monitor that story. But I wouldn't hate it. I like BNB chain. It's EVM chain. It's easier to onboard people. CZ is there. I mean, it's all positive if you're looking for retail to come on board. That's for sure.
And talking about Binance and CZ, you do see that Binance coin BNB went to new all-time highs this weekend with Bitcoin and is sitting at $1,218. You look at Cake, one of the top dexes on that is up another 16%. Remember, this thing was down below $2 not long ago, back to $377. So doing quite well off the lows. Obviously, still underperforming the King. And this is why I think we're not in alt season yet. Cake can go up from less than $2 to 377 and still be underperforming BNB for the cycle. That's how you know you're not in alt season yet. So it is good to see. And then, of course, you have Aster, which CZ has been chilling. Back down to 207. Just got listed on Binance this morning. It ripped and roared to like $2.33. Couldn't break out to new all-time highs and is sitting here. So do we extend higher or do we have another correction? Haven't quite got to a buy zone level that we wanted to buy. It came down as low as like $1.50. I was looking more in like the $1.35 range to get a position. Of course, the insiders knew that a Binance listing was coming, caught the low, but before we got an official entry, and now we're sitting up here at the highs once again. So we got our eyes on Aster as well. But I mean, yeah, CZ season, BNB season, that's where there is some gains happening. That's because a lot of people are getting on Aster. Aster is based on BSC. BNB is outperforming even Bitcoin, going to new all-time highs. And of course, you have Cake rallying from below $2 now to $3.77. And then Floki just dropped to zero, up about 40% off the low as well. So those are all BSC assets. And once people over there start getting money, people want to chase, people want to rotate profits into other assets. And that's how momentum and morale changes in the crypto markets.
Yeah, you're dead on. I think BNB season, we may be at the start of it. We may be in the middle of it. We'll monitor for you guys. Sounds like Nick has got his, ear to the trenches, so to speak, and has found a few meme coins over there. You mentioned one that did okay this weekend. I mean, are you looking at specific channels, or how are you finding these opportunities on BNB?
I'm just looking around on Twitter and from following people that I've seen before in the past. If anybody has ideas in the DM, sometimes I get them in Discord. It's like, yeah, we need to, I know you're in some groups on Telegram, but none of them are really BNB related. They're more preset related. So we just need to get back in these trenches, try to find some more alpha and get back on a hot streak. The one even that I found isn't like it's a home run here, because the problem is we got in around the $7 to $8 million mark. Let's let it pull up, because I heard about it. I heard about it hours after launch. It was already up at these levels. And, bought here. It went up as high as 15 million, which would have been a 2x. And now we're consolidating here for a loss. Some people might give up on it and be like, oh, man, it's over. But I like the narrative. If you're in the groups, you will see what my narrative and what my thesis is on that. And I also like this contract address. These dogs are killing. You have the kids. I got the puppy that just drives.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, folks. It's a tough life here at Crypto Paradise. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know much about this one. I wish you had found about it a little earlier. Right? I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you find
the
out
difference
about
between
8 million, it's like, it's the upside to me is a little bit less than if it was like 2 mil, 1 mil. But hey, I'm a degenerate at heart. I don't like buying mid cap. I mean, it's still low cap, but that's the only challenge, is finding these things early, and then half of those just rug anyway. So it's not an easy game, guys, in the trenches. It's really not. If people think it is, they're just delusional. But good work if you took profits on the 2x, and who knows, maybe it does recover and does a 10x from here. But you just never know with these things.
Well, the thing is with this too, it's like the narrative for me is like this Paulu character is kind of like their Labubu. One is going out for like Binance is giving out giveaways to probably KOLs and influencers, and you get one of these guys in there. So really, it's kind of the same thesis for people who are early to 4. It's like you get in on it, you like the narrative, you like BSC, and then you hope somebody, KOLs or CZ or whatever soft shills these things to make a move. The one thing I do also like is this contract address. I mean, for it to have all 4s there, that's pretty unique and pretty meaningful. Also, this is massive liquidity pool that is burnt as well. So obviously not guaranteed. In order to make money on something like this, when you're getting in at 6, 7, 8 million, as you need it to be a network runner. Like, you need this thing to be the next $60 million, $100 million meme on the network. And that's what 4 did. And that's what you need Paulu to do. Like, originally, this is like when you saw Pepe and stuff, and you're like, you need it to be the next $1 billion meme. But we're not in that part of the cycle. You're looking for, if this thing went to 20 million, 60 million, 100 million, I would be over the moon on that. And that takes, some embracing from Binance official accounts or some embracing from CZ himself. And that takes time to happen. And you're like, oh, I wish it would have been earlier. It's like, look at that. I'm 8 hours into a project being launched, and you're still late. You know what I mean? So that's the nature of the trenches. And yeah, that's the nature of the trenches. And it is what it is. But, people who got in here, if you took the 2x, great. I didn't take the 2x. I was sleeping at this time. This was like 11 p.m. my time. And we're going to see if this plays out or not. See if we can get some more BNB on the trade, or see if it's the next big thing. And if it's not, I'm sure you'll say, oh, I hate you and you suck and whatever. But, you're not full porting your whole portfolio into these things. And if you don't get into these, you don't look for these, How did you find out about Bitcoin or ETH or BNB? You took risks when assets were way lower. Not everything works out. If you don't take the risk, you're never going to get the big home runs, and you're just going to, fawn over these headlines. Oh, this guy found the meme. I wish I would have found that. Well, you wouldn't have bought it if you did find it because you're afraid to buy these. That's the same thing, the same nature of the game. So we'll see what happens.
And then do you have the balls to hold on to it through the downtrends? And then the conviction to hang on when it's running, and you're in a 5x. Most people won't hold to 100x. Like, realistically, they just won't. So it's not an easy game in the trenches. You can do well if you have some patience, some conviction. You get a little bit lucky. Maybe you follow the right people and they get you cued into some good launches. But yeah, no, I'm open for the best with this Palu. Pretty bullish on it now that you described it. And hell, it just takes one tweet from CZ for it to rocket to hundreds of mils.
Yeah, non-financial advice could go to zero. Again, I don't have inside information. I don't know the team. All you can do is you can look at the brand. Is it have some kind of affiliation with Binance? Yes, they're giving out these characters as a giveaway. They named it Palu. Binance did, and somebody created a token that happened to have a good contract address 4444. Happened to have a ton of money and liquidity to burn it as well. 86% of it is burnt. And it's trying to hold levels while doing big volume numbers. So outside of that, all of these are organic.
It's probably Binance Insider. Binance doesn't do anything just willy-nilly, like out of the blue. What Binance and CZ are trying to do, they're trying to outcompete Solana. And they're trying to grab attention and users from the Solana trenches and bring it over to BNB. How do I know this? Well, one, obviously they're pumping the shit out of BNB. And some say they're suppressing the price of Solana through their market makers, on the exchanges. That I don't know for a fact. Probably true. So running up BNB. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing that they did, this was a new story. I don't know if we covered it on live stream, but it did happen. The validators on the BNB network have agreed to make upgrades to it to basically reduce the fees even further and make the chain even faster. So they want to make the chain super fast, super cheap, just like Solana, right? To make it more attractive to the degens who don't want to spend any money on gas, but they still want to get into the casino. And then what is also CZ doing? He's pumping coins with tweets. He's getting the greed back. He's getting retail think, oh, I can be the next guy who, wins in the casino and, walks out with a lotto ticket. So that's, and now the news stories are circulating that some guy bought 4 at whatever price for $1,000 and now he's made $2 million. You don't think that they went to the outlets, the Cointelegraphs and whatever outlets and pushed that story on them? And now potentially maybe doing it with the Palu thing. So nothing is by accident when it comes to Binance and CZ. It's all steps, measured, planned steps. They're very smart over there. So this is not by accident, folks. And look, you could get lucky with the Palu or maybe the next one, but obviously still risk there.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's got us talking about BNB, the outperformance and everything. It's got me, buying a random meme coin, converting some of my BNB into it for the lottery ticket there as well. So, I mean, it's working. That's the nature of the game. That's anything with crypto. If you've been here since 2017, those lottery tickets were BNB, were KuCoin shares, were Cake, was fucking Litecoin. Like, those were the new things, was Ethereum. So now we're just in a different cycle, which means there's going to be new runners, there's going to be new winners, and there's going to be the blue chips that survive this cycle once again. And if you're holding those, BNB, Ethereum, Solana, probably, Bitcoin, then you're going to win. I mean, that's just, the nature of the game. And then the next wave of things will be the next blue chip for the next cycle. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep trying to find those. Could we have, outperformed if we would have rotated from the small caps and stopped investing in those to go all the large caps? Sure. But you can't be hindsight in investing. You just got to move on to the next thing, find the next win, find the next gem and keep it rolling. And when we talk about BNB outperformance, here's the BNB Bitcoin chart. I mean, look at that. You'd have been better off owning BNB than Bitcoin. So, you're not always going to be in the best performing asset. You just need to be in assets that are performing well and keep trying to compound your money because US dollar still pays for everything, all your bills, but the US dollar spending power is going down into the right. So you just got to keep trying to invest, keep trying to find your winners, find your passive income. And if you're in crypto, you're still early, and I think you're in still what it could be the best possibility to change your financial outlook and get financial freedom.
I read just the other day that the dollar has lost 40% of its purchasing power since, was it 2000 or 2010?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that almost seems like an undercount on the amount of devaluation on the dollar in the past 20 years. So, yeah, you have to be in these hard assets. You have to be invested in something. ideally you are diversified, right? Ideally you have some exposure to various things. You don't feel so down in the dumps if your particular coins aren't moving and something else is running at that moment. But if you're not there, your portfolio isn't big enough to be thoroughly diversified, then hey, you got to take a little bit more risk and have a little bit more concentration and hope and pray that you're in the right ones. Hex is out here. He's buying altcoins. He's buying altcoins today. Good for him. Hopefully on Pulse Chain. We see Crypto Jack still bullish on Pulse Chain. We need true believers like you there, Jack, who believe Pulse Chain is going to win. It's been slow, but hey, so have most other altcoins except for BNB. So what can you do?
Yeah, PulseX is green today. Ink is green today. Hex is slightly red, but this isn't a bad thing. So there was this big whale called BankX that's been selling Hex for a long time. They are finally out of Hex completely. They sold their last $15,000 worth of Hex over the weekend. I know that has been a big drain. They've been selling millions and millions and millions of dollars of Hex. Apparently, they have none left in any of their wallets that are tracked. Yes, it was just the final 15,000, which isn't the end of the world, but it is nice to kind of, turn the page or go to the next chapter, if you will. And BankX is completely out of Hex tokens. Pulse Chain still down 0.41%. And why is that interesting? Because again, you can't get excited for Pulse Chain unless we can break above this green line. And so far it got rejected there, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And now we are sitting down here slightly red on the day when Ethereum is approaching new all-time highs, a couple hundred away. Again, this is the YOLO line. If it gets down to this white line and it does not hold, doom and gloom, complete and utter failure. So the conviction that we've had in Pulse Chain, the future of PTGC, the future of Surf is in the hands of this white line. And maybe that's a little tongue-in-cheek, but that's really how I feel. If you get above the green line, then we can quickly moon, setting new highs for these cycle here for Pulse Chain, which sends our bags absolutely soaring. Do you still have conviction? Are you still holding? Do you keep smashing the buy button? It's hard to do when BNB is running. Ethereum is running. We do know that Richard Hart was tweeting, and before we get to that, let me know your opinions, Crypto Amaru. You have some Pulse Chain exposure. We have Surf exposure. Obviously, our business does better if Pulse Chain is doing better. Nothing is ever easy when this is lagging. And remember, Pulse Chain was only lagging Ethereum by like 20% not long ago. Right now, it is lagging Ethereum by about 100% because Pulse Chain is up 100% off the lows. Ethereum with the run today is up over 200% off the lows. So Pulse Chain's still lagging here along with Solana.
Well, I'm a patient man. You know that. I mean, I can just wait. I'm not too bothered. You know what I mean? So I'm still fully convicted on Pulse Chain. I don't view Pulse Chain and the assets on Pulse Chain altogether too differently than most of my other altcoins. I have altcoins on other networks, other companies that I own, other memes that I own. My altcoin portfolio isn't massive by any stretch, but I do have probably 7 or 8 or 9 different coins, and they're all doing badly. They're all doing badly. So it's not just Pulse Chain. It's not just Surf or just PLS or PLSX. It's pretty much all my altcoins not named Ethereum, BNB. Even Solana's just done okay. So I mean, I'm just waiting for alt season. I think Pulse Chain. We had this discussion a little bit in the Surf DAO. What do you consider PLS? Is it a mid cap? Is it a really large cap? What is it? I always viewed it as a mid cap. Maybe that's not the right way to think about it, but it's just we're not there in the cycle for these mid caps to run yet. And so I'm not panicking. I'm not worried. Look, if by the end of the cycle Pulse Chain's done nothing, yeah, I'll be pretty pissed. I will be pretty pissed. But right now I'm just staying patient, staying convicted, and I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, talking about Pulse Chain, if you don't include the OA wallets, the default settings on a lot of these websites do not include the OA wallets because those wallets receive these tokens right at mint. None of those tokens have ever moved, and none of those tokens have ever been sold. And it's also, speculated a rumor that those are Richard Hart's wallets. And if his Hex that were OA wallets still 5 years after Hex is launched have not done anything but been benevolent to the chain. So most people don't include them. The total market cap of PLS is only 566 million. Now, if you include those tokens, and some people who are, if you're not a Pulse Chain fan, you want to include those because it helps your argument, then you're looking at a $4.6 billion Pulse Chain valuation. But if that was the case, then you expect much more adoption, user growth, and upside potential because now you're looking at institutional grade mid caps that could really find their way to the top. 4.6 billion seems like a big number, but where would that put you on CoinGecko? Let's take a look here real quick while we're talking about that and valuations. 4.6 billion. You just got to keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Holy cow, it's not as big as you thought. The crypto market is getting bigger. It barely puts you in the top 50. That would put you right around where Aave and Pepe are. Pepe is a meme coin. Aave is a decentralized finance platform. Do you guys, any of you, use Aave? Probably not. And of course, you have PDI, the stable coin, OKX, this centralized exchange. So if you include the OA wallet or Richard Hart's maybe tokens that still haven't moved after 2 years, it's in the top 50. If you don't include it, again, it's 500 million, and it's barely finding itself in the top 200 assets over here. Shoot, maybe not even top 200. Yeah, you'd probably be right outside the top 200 if you don't include it. So that's kind of where Pulse Chain sits, and that would be the largest asset on Pulse Chain Network. That'd be the equivalent of Ethereum on the Pulse Chain Network, while you can see much smaller valuations and market caps if you include the OA for PulseX, which is the DEX, INC, which is the reward token, and HEX, which of course this includes EHEX and PHEX.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess I still view it as a small, like, I don't view it as a top 50. Like, it doesn't strike me as that level of, it's not even listed on a centralized exchange. Like, yeah, how could it be? Because you're top 50. So I get the market cap, and so you can have that argument. It's an interesting argument to have. I just feel there's just a lot of upside, a lot of room to run. It's still kind of just has its true believers and hasn't really expanded out much beyond that. But hey, you got to give these things time, guys. You want to do 100x, you got to deal with some of the risk here. But Crypto Jack still ultra bullish on Pulse Chain. ETH is just the test set for Pulse Chain. I love that. I love that, man. And one thing that Richard Hart did recently, he did upgrade the Explorer. So they are working on the tech. If we're talking about tech and we're making jokes about testnets, they're still working on the tech. They're still improving Pulse Chain, which is, as far as, in my opinion anyway, has solid tech, very fast, very cheap, innovative with these the token tax type projects that you can do, like the auto buybacks, auto burns and stuff. I haven't seen that on other chains. Nothing's running that's not BNB. So I don't know. I'm just patiently waiting and hoping that things do turn around. I think that they will.
And Richard Hart did get some tweets out. He kind of talked about Bitcoin performance, Ethereum performance, and how it took them, years to get to where they are. And then he did go on this rant here. And outside of all this 80-90% dip, some people are saying he's coping, whatever. I think the biggest thing is down here. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, "Press on," has solved and always will solve problems of the human race. I do not give up. I will persist. And whether you like the performance or not, obviously on Pulse Chain, if you didn't get in PTGC by listening to us, you haven't made much money. If you haven't taken swings at Surf Token, you haven't made money. You really needed to take swings at altcoins on the network. Rome Token was another one that made you money. You haven't done well because the price has been really volatility to the downside, but he is still here. So whether you like him or you don't, or whatever your performance is of Pulse Chain, I do not give up. I persist. He's still active. They're making updates. And this dude has a lot of money. And they have so much money in that Pulse Sacrifice wallet. I don't know why they won't just full port some of the ETH over there. But I do think there is a master plan. I'm going to do a funny video on it. Somebody asked about what's the master plan. Look, at some point, I think Richard Hart says, fuck it. And maybe he didn't want to really touch those Pulse Chain Sacrifice wallet. I'll pull it up, or it's right here. 166,000 ETH or something that is now up like many hundreds of millions of dollars. It's worth $775 million. And maybe he didn't want to touch those. He hasn't staked those because he doesn't trust third parties. But I think maybe he just says, fuck it. ETH breaks $5,000. He understands that's a big inflection point. He starts dumping some of this ETH and starts pumping Pulse Chain. And every year at Christmas, he used to do a live show. Last year at Christmas, he didn't. But he did do a recorded video talking about God candles could happen at every moment. Happy holidays, blah, blah, blah. Maybe this Christmas he goes live. He also knows as everybody gets around on Thanksgiving, part of the reason why Bitcoin has euphoric Q4s is everybody is talking about it. If you're up on it, you're telling your family about it. They're going and opening Coinbase accounts and they're full porting buying Bitcoin. Green candles before the holidays would be a good, nice thing. So I hope we see Ethereum 5,000 this month. I hope we see Richard Hart say, fuck it, and start dumping some of that ETH into Pulse Chain, pumping that chain, getting ready for the Thanksgiving dinner feast so we can be bragging about Pulse Chain, getting ready for a Christmas live show, the first one in 3 or 4 years that he would have had, and he turns things around and makes Pulse Chain great again. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. This is all for humor, for laughs, not financial advice. But I tell you what, I know how he's feeling, and if you got that much money, you want your ego back, you want your glory back, just say fuck it. 775 million full port into Pulse Chain. Fuck Ethereum. That's what I would do.
go. Let's go. I don't think he full Polished the whole thing, but you don't even need that. Like just like $1 million from any one of his public wallets. People know it's his wallet, right? $1 million worth of ETH. I think that's all it takes. Because that then spurs on the speculation. That spurs, oh, he's doing it. He's finally doing it. You know, and we all start piling at Pulse Chain, and everyone who G'd out, like this guy that sold all his hex, is like, fuck, I got to come back. And he bridges back all his money back into Pulse Chain because, look, Richard Hart's doing the thing. So I don't know if it takes the 70. I mean, obviously, that would be insane if he did the whole thing. But I don't think it takes that. It's just his personal bag, a personal wallet, which I assume there's people out there scouring the Pulse Chain, explorers that know who, handful of wallets that are his. Just do it from one of them. If you don't got to do it from the Pulse Chain sacrifice wallets. So, I mean, that's really what all it would take. I imagine he's going to do it. Like, why wouldn't you do it, right? Like, if you staked your reputation, you mentioned ego, there's a lot of people that believed in this and believed in you and bought into this. And I'm sure he's already spent a lot of money on Pulse Chain, don't get me wrong. But to just spend an extra $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever the number is going to be to make your chain a success, like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, and based on the liquidity too. Remember, guys, he disincentivized LP. He got people to remove a lot of liquidity off Pulse Chain because he cut the rewards on it, that INC token. And people were speculating, well, if he's wanting LP to be reduced, so what would be the only reason you'd want liquidity to be thinner on your chain? And that's because you want to bring money into it, and it's a lot easier to pump an asset with low liquidity than it is to pump an asset with thick liquidity. So that was many months ago. Maybe, again, he's waiting on Ethereum. He thought Ethereum was going to run faster, get above that 5,000 mark. Who knows what the reasoning is? But you are poised, like you said. It only takes $1 million to $5 million. There's calculators on this. And that creates big green candles on Pulse Chain, which could stifle morale, momentum, and onboarders. And again, that's without touching this Pulse Chain stack wallet. People are going to be watching this for years to come. And if this isn't used to pump Pulse Chain to create yield, whatever, who knows? This is a ton of money. If you brought $1 billion to Pulse Chain, that thing would do 100x, 150x faster than anybody could even hit the sell button. I don't think he's going to do that, like you said. But I just do it for giggles and the speculation. Have some hopium. Be optimistic. And the potential of the future with all these funds is there.
Yeah, and like I said, I think we had this discussion last time. You asked me what's my opinion. It's not as if every single all my holdings, all my holdings are on Pulse Chain. I'm relying on Pulse Chain to make sure my family is fed at night. No. I mean, I have some. It's maybe 3-5% of my overall portfolio is in Pulse Chain assets. So I guess to me it's like, okay, I've taken a little bit of risk over here for some potential outperformance, but it's not like I'm relying on this to put food on the table. So, that's kind of how I think you have to look at these things. If you're talking about a smaller chain, like let's just say here, like a Sonic. What's your opinion on Sonic? I happen to know Andre Cronje. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I've met him once or twice, and he and I have DM'd in the past. Just FYI, not to toot my own horn. Really nice guy, by the way. Yeah, man, he's an innovator. He's a really, really smart guy. Sonic was doing very well and had some hype, I think, after it had rebranded from Phantom into Sonic. I haven't followed it really much since then. I don't think it's getting the kind of news and notoriety of the BNBs of the world. I don't think it's pumping like mad because again, we're not in the part of the cycle that you're having your smaller chains outperform. But Andre's a really smart guy, and I think he can continue to innovate over there, and we obviously need builders and stuff. They were doing some good incentives too, so good to see that. But Sonic doing its thing. I do not own any Sonic, but
Sonic kind of got a little bit of a hype cycle there, and actually poached some Pulse Chain users over to Sonic. A lot of Pulse Chain people, including this guy, talking about Sonic as well. And the crazy thing is, Sonic finds itself in the headlines. People have good perspective of the founder, whatever. Sonic has actually underperformed Pulse Chain. Sonic has done worse since launch than Pulse Chain has. But it just kind of shows you how the opinion of the founder can kind of skew people's view. And so I mean, we don't own Sonic. We never pushed for it. It had kind of that 1 month, 2 months of hype, and even poached some Pulse Chain users. But those Pulse Chain people left to go to Sonic, trying to chase yield. And Pulse Chain hasn't done well, but Sonic even underperformed Pulse Chain. So, sometimes you just have to have conviction where you are, stay where you are, and see what happens. But pretty interesting there. We haven't got involved with Sonic. Again, we're primarily talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, and now Pulse Chain. Those are kind of the chains we're going on. The thesis for Pulse Chain is it could be this cycle's BNB. And what happened with BNB? They were late in the cycle to launch the BSC chain. Then thing got really explosive after people took profits on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin at the time and started taking some risk on Binance and the Binance Smart Chain as well as BNB. Half the people hated CZ, called him a scammer, and half the people loved CZ. And then the people who hated him all these years later said, look, CZ went to jail for 4 months, yet BNB is at 1,200 a token. So we'll see what happens.
Four. Yeah, shout out to CZ, but Pulse Chain's going to be fine, guys. Pulse Chain's going to be fine. You know how I know Pulse Chain's going to be fine? It is heavily tied to none other than Ethereum. Going for 5K today. What's up, Paul? Oh, it's Paul. How you doing, Paul? He's in our private group, I think. I've known Paul for a long time. Good to see you there, bud. Yeah, man. Ethereum's killing it. That's largely, I think, because the ETF got approved for staking today. And that, that's going to precipitate other, like the BlackRock one getting approved, the Grayscale one got approved, so a beautiful catalyst, basically just got finalized and announced today, so that's great. And it's undervalued compared to Bitcoin, right? So, Bitcoin's 2x above its previous all-time high, almost. Ethereum is still not even above its previous all-time highs. You guys, Paul, you know this. You've been in the space for a long time. So, Ethereum is still undervalued, and it is going higher, and it's going probably to $10,000 or more this cycle. So hang on your hats, and that means Pulse Chain's going to do well too, guys.
Yeah, and talking about what's going to help drive those Ethereum prices higher, it's these 3 companies here. Bitmine Immersion, BMNR stock, now has 2.83 million Ethereum. Look at them continuing to add. Their target is 5 million ETH. They're only 47% of the way there. SharpLink Gaming raised their target from 1 million ETH to 5 million ETH. They own 838K right now, only 14% of target. And the new player to the game is the Ether Machine, owns under 500K ETH, but they want a lot more ETH. I don't know how they're going to get there. They want 10 million ETH. Now, I believe Thomas Lee is going to get to 5 million. I believe Joe Lubin's going to get to 5 million. I do not believe Ether Machine is going to get to 10 million, but I would be delightfully happy if I was wrong on that, because that is a lot of Ethereum and a lot of the supply that they need to figure out how to buy and get into their coffers.
Well, I mean, they're not trying to do it in a month. Give them, I guess their time horizon's like 5. I mean, how long has strategy been around? Like 6 years now? Something like that? So, I mean, if that's the time horizon for these and then longer, I mean, strategy's not going anywhere. So, I mean, if these are around for 20 years, then maybe they get there. But, yeah, it's nothing but bullish, guys. Institutions are in. Wall Street's in. You can stake now through your ETF. More staking is coming for the other ETFs. If you're not bullish on Ethereum, I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, we got SharpLink Gaming here. We got you long that from $8.54 up to $11. Had this buy zone here that we talked about live on air. Hit it in your heads. Hit it in the private groups. And now we're up 100% on that as SharpLink Gaming is up to $19. And really still undervalued based on how much ETH they have and what their yearly revenue numbers look like. Joe Lubin was in a conference talking about if they bought no more ETH and just staked it, they would make $100 million a year in revenue. And for any normal tech company, that would be absolutely massive. I think this is highly undervalued. This will go to over $100 by the end of the cycle. And you got BMNR, which is the Thomas Lee institutional play. We got you long at the exact low after the sell-off around 31.69. You had a couple days there. So a lot of people would say, well, Nick, you gave the call and the thing mooned. You had days, you had a week to buy this thing at that level. You were just too scared after the initial pump. It dumped about 10 cents lower than our initial buy. You were too scared to hit the buy button, and now you're left behind. We're up 92%. It's at 61.40. Breaking above 100 seems like light work for Tom Lee coming soon. And I don't know what the upside objectives on this one would be. This is the largest Ethereum strategic reserve. They're producing the biggest raises. This is like the strategy of Ethereum strategic reserves. And 3 digits on this is a no-brainer. We're probably looking at something closer to $500 by the end of the cycle. Follow along, get the trades. At some point, we'll trade out of it if we think it's getting a little frothy. But right now, these formations are just consolidations looking to find any reason to surge to the upside. And that reason would be Ethereum new all-time highs and being on all the CNBCs and finance channels in your grandma's living room.
Well, it looks like it's coming soon. My buddy is texting me. Look at Ethereum out there just cooking. I like when my normie friends start to text me about crypto. That's always a very bullish sign, isn't it? That's always such a great indication. But you know what? This is the true believer cycle. Whether you're talking about being in PDI and the pegging or whatever they call it, or whether you just think Bitcoin's going to 244,000, ETH's going to 22K. It is the true believer cycle. The true believers make money over the long haul, guys. I'll tell you that. The bulls make money. The bears sound smart. That's the name of the game. So stay long, stay convicted. Do I know PDI is going to 1? No, I do not. But I think a lot of assets that you guys are in now that you're feeling upset about, they're down, you're annoyed about, I think a lot of them are going to be pumping here pretty dang soon.
Is there any other questions, comments, concerns? Make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. 200,000 surf gets you in the DAO and the private group. 400,000 surf gets you in big opportunities such as the Frontier Fund, who is still cooking, been paying us profits every 30 days for 90 days in a row now. And they're going to be giving us an update. Hopefully they've done well in this volatility. Hopefully they've been long. We'll see what the update looks like. But again, every single 30-day period, they've paid profits to us after fees between 10 to 25%. I like that. That keeps the lights on at the house. That keeps some compounding going on a separate portfolio and lets them do the leverage trading for me.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. Hopefully they're a bit long here. I know they had some positions open, I think long and short, so we'll see how those all get resolved here in the next couple days. But the market's looking great, guys. I mean, Bitcoin's at $125,000 as of right now. So talk about the paradise pump. That is a thing. We're at 125, 113 according to CoinGecko anyway. So good to see that. Happy to see that. BNB $1,200. Even Solana's been which has been underperforming a bit, is up. Doge up 4.5%. I mean, guys, like, if you're bearish, what? Get your head checked. Stop being bearish, guys. Get long, get strong, get convicted, and let's make some money this cycle.
Yeah, and you're not going to make all the gains overnight, guys. You got to find some winners. We got to take some profits, 10%, 20%, 30%. That's how you build the portfolio. Frontier Fund paying you 10% a month isn't, going to make you rich overnight, but if you compound some of that, or you can use that as another source of income, now it's like, hey, honey, I got a bonus this year because now Frontier Fund's also paying me $500 a month, $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, which means our income was up $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for the year. That's how it goes with investing. That's how the life goes. You got to just keep tacking on other ways to make money. There's going to be ups and downs. Look, there was plenty of downs. This has been a bear market. And when we're all in on crypto, look, Patreon money's down, Crypto Paradise, less marketing deals. It's hard to find winners in the trenches. People that are in some projects that we like are down. They're messaging us. They're down on their gains. Like, we feel it all too, guys. This isn't just rainbows, cupcakes, and unicorns. It's just the nature of the beast, the nature of the financial markets, and it starts with one win at a time. That's all it takes. We get you guys a couple wins, the charts do well, the morale, just changes in everywhere. All the private groups, all the public channels. We understand, look, we're losing when you lose. We're winning when you win. So we feel it just as much as you do, if not more, because we come out here and put our face on it and put our stamp of approval on ideas as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, it took me 4 years to make any money in crypto, guys. So for those who are, upset, they're down on themselves, and I'm in the wrong things, and, why am I not making money? It took me 4 damn years, and a lot of those years were losing money. Actually lost probably, I don't know, let's just call it close to $500,000 in unearned income because I quit my high-paying job to go into this crazy crypto space, so lost a bunch of income I could have made. But eventually we had a massive bull run, and that's when you make a bunch of money. So if you can kind of like piece together some wins and earn a bit of income, like, okay, I'm making a little bit of money off Frontier Fund right now, or I've managed to make a 2x off some random low-cap gem call that I found, or whatever, or maybe even just minimize some of your losses. And then when that explosive alt season does come, that's when you make the bulk of your gains. So we're not there yet, unfortunately. It's just, we're waiting, and it's taken longer than I think we all hoped and expected. But it will come, and when it comes, that's when you guys will make your money. You just have to be patient. It does not happen overnight.
We got Paul. There we go. Go ahead.
Paul's on a good time zone. That's good news. And, killed it with the BNMR and SBAT. Absolutely.
Yeah, it looks like somebody grabbed those at the lows, and you just have, some patience. And people are like, well, why don't we sell the $40 rally? Well, because at the time, Ethereum was looking to break all-time highs, and we just bought the low. You can't sell every rally. You can't make a trade on everything. These are kind of long-term conviction plays. We believe ETH goes over 5,000, gets to 8, gets to 10, and maybe beyond. And if that happens, the Ethereum Strategic Reserve companies are going to do what MicroStrategy did, and that means they're going to 5x, they're going to 10x, and they're going to be some of the biggest players in the markets. Remember, MicroStrategy, I think, is now in the S&P 500. So that could very well be the case for Bitminer or even SBET if they keep accumulating ETH, and ETH gets into the 5 figures rather than the 4 figures.
Yeah, I think those are perfect examples. Those are long-term plays. I don't know if trying to scalp them and trade them all the time. I mean, I leave that up to you guys, obviously experts on that. But my feeling would be have a little, like, be a bit more patient on those perhaps, and obviously take trades when it makes sense, but don't need to over trade anything because that's, you end up losing money that way. So yeah, I mean, Martin thinks they're going to drag the bull run on. That's my theory, and there's many others saying this, is first of all, this cycle's different. It's been different. It's going to continue to be different. But there's a pretty decent chance that we just have like a slow grind up, and yeah, we have corrections, but they're not these like 70% multi-year bear market type corrections we had in the past. They're more like your 20 or 30% drops that you see like in the stock market, right? Remember the big dump out in April when all the tariff flood was going on? That's like a stock market, bear market for a couple weeks or a couple months, where the market dumps 20%, bearish, everyone's freaking out, and then eventually recovers. So we could be moving towards that as Bitcoin matures. I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, 2026, man, I still think we're bullish for the bulk of 2026, and we will probably have a blow off top sometime in that year, and then things will do a major correction. But I just feel we grind up until then.
We're here for it. Keep tuning in. We'll give you our macro opinions. We'll answer your questions to the best of our ability. We'll try to find some gems in the rough. And again, have we been right about every altcoin? No, but we've been right about looking for higher on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, BNB being outperformer, Floki as a meme coin, PTGC on Pulse Chain. And hopefully on the other alts that we're in that are either floundering or we're break even or we're only up a little bit, that season comes and we can say, hey, we were right on these as well. Good job having convictions. Good job hodling. And now is the time to take some profits.
Paul's got more questions. We can't leave. We cannot leave Paul hanging. I'd love to have Paul back. I guess he was in a wonky time zone. Now he's back in this. By the way, this is all recorded, guys, so you can watch it back. But anyway, Linea, we've been talking a lot about Linea. I know Nick's been following that one pretty closely. I think they are probably correlated to some degree because Joe Lubin has hands in both. I don't know if it's going to be like a one-for-one type thing, but Linea's done quite well, or at least in the news. I don't know chart-wise, but news-wise, because it looks like Swift, which is the system that is existing now for making international transactions, right? Bank-to-bank transfers. Uses the Swift system. It's not on a blockchain. But apparently Swift is looking to migrate over and, do it on Linea. Do these payments through the Linea blockchain. So I don't know when that happens or if that truly materializes into a thing, but that's been the story thus far. It looks like a little bit of green today. A little bit of green.
Yeah, Linea is one that we haven't really dove into because we know that distributions are coming, and unless you're in the pre-sale, you just haven't made money on this chop. I think there is correlation to the fact of if Linea does well, obviously it helps SharpLink Gaming and SBT, but if it does poorly, I don't think it negatively impacts them, only because SharpLink Gaming is still an Ethereum strategic reserve. They don't have Linea on the books. Kind of like Bitminer has, World Liberty Coin on the books. SharpLink Gaming doesn't have Linea on the books. The reason that it helps it to the upside is they are utilizing Linea for DeFi yield to get bigger yield with some of their Ethereum versus just staking it for the 3%. So if Linea does well, that means that yield is higher, which means there's potential more AUM for SharpLink Gaming to buy more ETH, stake more ETH, or buy more shares when the MNAV is low. So that's why I'm rooting for Linea, because it pumps our SBET bags. But I can't buy it just because I am nervous of these unlocks. You see this choppiness. There hasn't been money made here. We haven't missed money here. And I do think there's downside risk as some unlocks come out this month where people might be selling them for some profits. We'll see.
Yeah. We've talked a few times about we think Linea, the risk-reward profile doesn't make a lot of sense because it's just kind of like chilling. It might go up a bit, but it could go down a lot. I just don't, I don't see you doing a 10x off of that. And, that's what we're hunting for, the 10x's. Otherwise, just hang out in Ethereum and Bitcoin. You're probably better off. So, okay, good stuff today, boys and girls. We definitely have some work to do because, hey, the market's looking up and projects need our help now. Isn't that a nice thing? So, appreciate you guys being on today's live stream. We'll be back tomorrow a little bit before this time. We'll be, 9:30 Eastern is our normal time. So, we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, folks, we will see you on the beach.